AFC West Roundtable, how is it going? It is the usual suspects back at it again with another one here to break down everything that happened in the first preseason game. Now, last week, the first episode back, we talked about everything that was going on in each team's training camp here for the AFC West, and these guys gave their predictions and their thoughts for their first preseason game. Well, James, I guess for you it was your second preseason game, but this week we are going to break down and revisit those thoughts from last week. Later on in today's episode, we will then give our thoughts, our previews for week 2 of the preseason. And again, for you, James, that would be week 3. But before we do that, let's go around the table. Let's see how the guys are doing. Marcus, let's start with you. How are you feeling about the Chiefs after that first preseason game?
I feel fantastic. I mean, it's impossible to not feel good. You know, you got Tom Brady's on Joe Klatt's show on his knees for Patrick Mahomes. You got to love that. Kelsey on the cover of GQ. And I think it's apparently tomorrow he's about to break the all-time single episode podcast download record with Taylor Swift coming on. So, you know, how can I not feel good about the Chiefs? But as far as preseason goes, you know, it's week 1 of preseason. We only saw Mahomes to throw one pass, but he was 1 for 1 for 1 yard and a touchdown. It's pretty good for one pass, I would say. But yeah, you know, kind of what I was talking about last week, the big thing I was watching for was Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons came in at left tackle. I believe PFF had him in a 66 overall, but his pass blocking grade was an 80.5, which I'll take that. It's specifically, you know, we're talking about who we had at left tackle last season, which was a bunch of dudes and a left guard playing left tackle. So feeling really good about Josh Simmons. Left guard, however, we want to see a little bit more of Kingsley Suamataia. He had, of 12 plays, he had one really a gaffe, I would say. But the other 11 plays, he looked pretty good. But of course, in preseason, the overreaction from fans, you're going to see the one highlight that he looked bad. That's the one everyone's talking about, not the 11 plays where he looked solid. But another guys who flashed, I know we talked about Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton looked pretty damn good, I would say. He beat his cornerback a few times, but again, when you're playing with guys like Bailey Zappi, who I'm sure for him, he had some PTSD seeing Bailey Zappi drop back and throw to him because Tyquan Thornton beat his cornerback and safety on a 9 route, and Zappi just overshot him. And for him, it's like, God, man, please just give me a competent quarterback back there. So he looked solid. Robert Tonyan was the guy that really stood out as far as MVP awards for preseason week 1. Robert Tonyan was that guy, but a former Green Bay Packer tight end. I think he led a league in touchdowns 1 year with Rodgers with like 11 or 12 TDs. He's had some injury history, but he came back, and I think he's going to make the team and probably be our tight end 3 behind Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. But yeah, lots of things to love. And then as far as practice-wise, Christian Fulton, former Charger, finally came off the PUP and is back at practice. So things are slowly getting there for our Chiefs. So really liking what I saw from week 1 as much as I could see from our guys who are actually going to play during the preseason.
Got a lot of former Patriots in there from what I'm hearing. Bailey Zappi, Tyquan Thornton. You know what's funny, too, is that your preseason, that was the Patriots' active roster during the 2023 season, 2022. So that's how bad it was. I think that's pretty funny. But, James, let's go on over to you. What were your thoughts based off of how you saw the Chiefs' preseason week 1 performance?
You know, I mean, the Chiefs always go into every season feeling high and feeling mighty and feeling ready for the season and everything, too, and thinking Super Bowl. And that's, I commend them for that. I mean, they rightfully should. Now, I will say, how many Chiefs fans got a rise in their Levi's when Patrick Mahomes did that behind the back little throw there and everything? Everybody probably was blown up after that and thinking, oh, my gosh, that's amazing. What can Patrick Mahomes not do? I mean, obviously only got 1 yard or whatever or something on that. But anyways, the Chiefs got a lot that they got going on. And I was going to point out to exactly left tackle with Simmons, seeing how he did and see how he played. And that was a big topic of discussion and everything too. And he seemed like he played very, very well. So it's interesting to see the 3 different quarterbacks that they have behind them with Gardner Minshew and Bailey Zappi. You know, Zappi Hour is now in Chiefs kingdom now. Gardner Minshew was a guy who was from the Raiders last year, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that quarterback situation. Who's really going to be the number 2 there behind Patrick Mahomes? But outside of that, hey, it's preseason. So far, so good for the Chiefs. I'm interested to just kind of see more from this team when the season really gets going. Week 1 versus the Chargers. Remember that.
I'm going to have to our host there.
You're
the host.
What happened to
I
you
guess
guys?
it's us right now, right?
There you go, James. I like your takes there. Yeah, Josh Simmons was the guy to look at in this game, and yeah, he played well. And I think it highlights a lot of people were saying as far as him being a steal of the draft. And I mean, so far so good. Only 12 plays, so you can take so much from that.
Crazy.
And then shout out to the fellas for holding the fort down. StreamYard, for anybody that uses StreamYard, suddenly they'll just crash out sometimes, and they decided to do that to me today. So appreciate the fellas for holding the fort down, man. That's what you get for a live show. But James, any other thoughts about the Kansas City Chiefs?
Hey, we'll see what it looks like week 1. That's the thing. I mean, us, this is the NFL. A lot of things happen quickly with these teams and everything too. And, that's, I'm sure, when I get my time to talk about the Chargers, you hear about what's going on with us and all that. So far, so good for the Chiefs.
James, will you be tuning into the Taylor Swift episode tomorrow on New Heights?
Highly, no, I'm good. Thank you, though. Thank you for the invite.
You didn't like the trailer, James? You didn't like the trailer they dropped on the podcast there?
Totally good. Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah, but hey, I won't be there.
You might tune in, man. That's all they want to know. At least you might tune in. Build up the excitement for Taylor Swift a little bit. That's all they want. But Ryan, let's go down to you. What were your thoughts seeing the Kansas City Chiefs take the field for the first time since that Super Bowl loss?
I mean, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder, and you got to respect the Chiefs. I mean, I hate them, but you got to respect them. I'm not down on them by any means. And, they're going to, they show up, they do what they do. They're a well-oiled machine. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. He knows what he's coaching up there. They've still got that championship caliber. I mean, I'll still say a lot of those games were fluky last year that they won, but they won them. And I'm not going to say it's the refs or anything by any means, because it's just kind of what happens when you're a winning team like that. But they played pretty well, and I got a lot of respect for them coming up this season. And you got to give the Chiefs full respect, or else it's going to bite you in the butt, no matter who you are in the NFL.
Ooh, you said something there, though. You said something that kind of sparked maybe a little bit of fire under you, Marcus. Maybe. Let's see. How do you feel? Because maybe it sounds like you guys got away with some of those games last year. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like you guys got away with some of those games, or do you feel like you rightfully won all those games?
I mean, look, I think I want to say, I'm not looking at the schedule from last year at all. I want to say every division game we had last year was a one-possession game, and I believe all of them were one-possession games. So I mean, yeah, there's of course there's gonna be a little bit of luck with every win, right? That you have. The one game that sticks out to me is the one that could have gone the other way. I'm gonna go to my guy Samoan Raider. There is that snap infraction penalty at the end of that game. That was kind of that was probably the only one where I would say that was kind of fishy. But all the other ones, I would say. I mean, I don't think there was anything.
No, I got something to say. When this started happening, I started betting on the Chiefs. And I don't usually bet. I made a decent amount of money off the craziest shit, man. I was like, there's no way they just won. I was like, there's no way this happened. That's the only time I've ever won money is betting on the Chiefs for them to win. It was the craziest stuff.
Wow, so a Broncos fan was betting on the Chiefs to win?
Dude, money moves. I don't care at that point. My team was winning those weeks as well. I mean, I just see the opportunity.
My guy Ryan was happy Leo Chanel blocked that kick.
No, not that one. See that I give you guys credit. That's great coaching right there. That our left tackle, we let that slide. That guy sucked. And you guys exploited that. And it's just seeing something on film. That's just the championship caliber right there. It's all about the details. So that's I give you that there. There was nothing fluky about that game. It just came down to the final second in the details at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, and you can look at it, and with the whole ref thing, I know it's had to play out talking, but you look at every game, man. There's bad calls in every game, but of course, because we're a team that plays on prime time all the time, and we're a team that's looked at a lot under a microscope. Everyone's gonna push those narratives like we did with the Patriots back in the day, and some of those were legit, some of those weren't. But
I'd say more of it probably comes from the pass interference stuff. I would say the refs need to be more consistent about that. Maybe be not as soft about it, because especially since they ref it completely differently in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs, I think it should just be ref consistently all throughout the season. In postseason,
I agree. Yeah, consistency is the big thing. Yeah,
I think. What about you,
though?
Oh,
Speaking
I just want to talk.
speaking of you, what'd you think about the Chiefs game? You know, what did you think about seeing them? Now, look, I know that there's one thing I learned last year hosting this show is there is a lot of hate between Raiders fans and Chiefs fans. So what did
Yeah.
you see as a Raiders fan from that first Chiefs preseason game?
I guess it's nothing really new. Honestly, of course, we got to see a little bit of Patrick Mahomes. They did what they did usually. And I think outside of that, I guess they're the only team in this division that came away with the loss. But, I guess that's the only thing we can kind of like brag on right now. But I guess we can't really take a lot of the preseason stuff to heart. Some of the main concerns, I guess, for the Chiefs that, if not cleaned up, could help one of us, maybe the Raiders, because we could use some help during the season, is the penalties that they had. I think they had like 11 penalties. The offensive line, of course, could be something to really look at. It was kind of crazy to see Big Dog or the little ass boy out there play pretty solid out there. But I think just like everybody else's team, including our team, it's kind of hard to really like gauge into the preseason and kind of take away a lot of big things because, yeah, like I said earlier, of course, they lost this game. But we didn't win or lose. And I know that the Chargers right now is riding on a high of 2 wins. But I think preseason is just more of like just seeing a lot of the practice squad players and seeing what they can do going into the regular season and if they'll make the final 53. So, like I said, just like our team, I don't really take a lot of things out of it. But I guess it's just good to see them in the L column for now.
Good to see them in the L column for now. I feel like that is something that 31 other teams league-wide are saying. Now, Marcus, my only question for you is, now look, it is the preseason, but with the loss, some fans will overreact, whether it's preseason or regular season. Is there anything that you saw in this game with this loss that you say, okay, this worries me heading into week 1?
I mean, man, there were so many guys out this game that like it's tough to really gauge, I would say the one thing is, seeing some of our second team pass rushers, I just want to see more penetration from those guys. But again, no Chris Jones. So like that, not having him in the trenches kind of, takes away from, these other guys excelling. So really you can't take much from this game. The only thing is like kind of what Simone said, you're looking at the guys who are the fringe guys, can they make the team? I brought up Robert Tonyan, like, can he resurrect his career in Kansas City as a tight end 3? I mean, those are the kind of stories you're really looking at, especially with the first game in preseason. That's kind of, that's all I'm really taking away from that first game.
100%. Well, guys, that is our thoughts and recaps on the Kansas City Chiefs' first preseason game. We still got 3 games to get into, but before we do so, want to let you guys know that Roundtable Sports is doing something very special for this 2025 NFL season, and that is Patreon call-ins. Right now, just like every single video, there is going to be a link pinned to the live chat that you guys can click on to become a Patreon member, and by doing so, you get to call into the show. 30, 60 seconds on air, get to make a statement, get to ask a question to one of these guys, and they are forced to hear you, and they are forced to answer your question. The cool thing, too, about becoming a Patreon member is that you get an opportunity to call into every show, but that doesn't just mean the AFC West Roundtable. You can call into the AFC East Roundtable on Wednesdays. You can call into the NFC South Roundtable later on tonight. You can call into Fourth and Forever every single day. When you become a Roundtable Patreon member, you can call into any show at any time. So consider becoming a Patreon member. You also do get exclusive film reviews that are going to be coming out for NFL players, college players, leading up to the 2026 NFL draft, and so much more. Make sure you guys check it out for exclusive benefits. But speaking of the Patreon call-ins, we actually have one person behind the scenes waiting to come into the show right now. So let's hear what Jack has to say. Jack, you are live on air.
So first off, guys, big fan of the show. So I have a question for all of you. Pat Mahomes for the past 2 years has certainly showed a decrease in overall stats, right? Regularly, you see him pinned as the best quarterback in the NFL today. But I was kind of curious, if you were to take away Super Bowl rings, past wins, because me personally, I do believe that wins are not a quarterback stat. Who is the best quarterback in the NFL right now? Wins not included. Thank you. I will hang up and listen.
All right, we appreciate you, Jack. Marcus, let's start with you. What do you think about that?
We take away wins. So we're talking about teams like Joe Burrow, who, just has no defense whatsoever, has to throw 90 times a game. I think it's a bit of a ridiculous thing to say, is to take away wins, and because that's not that's not a stat. I would think, fourth quarter comebacks. I think I saw a stat the other day from Sharp Analytics that talked about going into the fourth quarter, quarterbacks who were down and of current quarterbacks, and Mahomes is 14-7. And I don't think there was any other quarterbacks that was even that had a winning record even close to that. And I think that, talk about a guy having ice in his veins, and kind of echoing what Tom Brady said on Joe Klatt's show, that, Pat's one of those guys. He's one of one right now who, you can't have a no lead is safe with playing against him. And I think that says a lot of the story, but taking away wins from a quarterback, I think that's, I don't know. I think that's silly. And then we're going to look at guys like Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow as guys who have this great numbers because their defense blows, and, they have to throw 90 times a game. So.
Well, James, what about you? As someone who, obviously your quarterback is not Patrick Mahomes, if you take Pat Mahomes wins out of this, is he still the best quarterback in the league, or do you give that to someone else?
I mean, it's kind of crazy to say taking away wins and not saying like that guy is not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he is literally the GOAT right now in the league because he's had so many appearances to the Super Bowl already. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud. Stats are great and everything, but wins are what really matters at that point. And, if I was to go to another quarterback that I think is really, really good, obviously I'd love to say Justin Herbert. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback, but he's still got a lot to prove, in my opinion, especially in the playoffs. I would probably go to like Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen's an absolute stud as a quarterback too. That guy's actually had some pretty good runs through the playoffs. He's gotten pretty deep in the playoffs. I think he takes the team and puts them on his back. I can't remember which year it was, but it was a Chiefs-Bills game in the playoffs. I want to say it was 2021 or 2022. And if you review that game, I mean, it was electric. I was coming back from a flight, I think, overseas, and I was watching that game, and it was an absolute electric game. When he needed to make a play, he made a play. And I love seeing that as out of a quarterback. And I think Josh Allen would be one of those guys. But, that's one guy I'd throw out there. In my opinion, I would say Josh Allen would be my guy.
Now, would you take Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes? Like, given the same offense, coaching, all of that, would you take Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Coaching matters, right? And Andy Reid's an absolute stud. The big thing about Patrick Mahomes, he's been in the system for 9-10 years right now with Aaron Rodgers. I swear, I don't even know how long that he's been with Reid, but he hasn't had a whole heck of a lot of change with the offensive system. So really, that consistency helps out a quarterback to grow. And I think that's really the big leg up for Patrick Mahomes more than anything. If you put Josh Allen in that system, which he's had a very long system, but he's also lost some offensive coordinators with a defensive head coach, I think that's kind of shifted a little bit with his game and the philosophy of the game. So, yeah, I think if you put Josh Allen with the Chiefs, I think he'd have the same success. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say
What do you think about that, Marcus? Do you agree with that? Or are you like, oh, hell no? Hell no.
I mean, it's a hypothetical. We'll never know, right? I mean, we just know what is, and what is the reality is Patrick Mahomes has never missed an AFC Championship game in his career, so that no other quarterback can say that. And the same game I think James was talking about from 2021 was the games where Mahomes gets the ball back with 13 seconds and somehow gets us in the field goal range and then ends up winning that game in overtime. Unfortunately, we end up losing to the Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game, so that game kind of goes meaningless. But again, 13 seconds. Everyone, I thought that game was over when that happened. When Josh Allen throws at Gabe Davis, they score, get the ball back. Mahomes gets us in field goal range, and the rest is history. AFC Championship game loss, but nonetheless, we got to an AFC Championship game loss, or AFC Championship game again, and that's for Patrick Mahomes. That's his floor, and no other quarterback can say that.
Yep,
that's fair. What about you, Ryan? Taking out quarterback stats, same team for all quarterbacks. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is still the best in the league, or is there another quarterback that you think is better than him?
Yeah, I'd want to say Josh Allen, but I think my view of him is kind of skewed. Not because of him, but because of his circumstances. Like you guys mentioned about, having Sean McDermott as his head coach, kind of being restrained with a defensive coach as your head coach. So I think he's definitely grown a lot more in the past couple of years in terms of not putting the ball at risk as much, because I really was kind of low on him probably 2 years ago because he would just throw so many picks. And you saw that in that crazy game in the winter against us where he threw like 2 or 3 picks or something, and then we won on a field goal after they had 12 guys on the field. But ultimately, I'd say Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is just absolutely surgical. He's the one. He's done what Josh Allen has not been able to do. Is that because he has an offensive coach? Maybe. But ultimately, he's gone to the Super Bowl. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. He beat him twice that season. And he did have a much better defense. And obviously, the Bengals' performance, his stats are kind of getting padded because he's got to throw the ball so much because his defense is just atrocious. But, I mean, what else do you want him to do? Like, he could throw it and things not go well, but he was able to almost get them in the playoffs last year. Unfortunately, it wasn't up to him anymore, or up to the Bengals at the end of the season because of the record and what happened earlier in the season. But he's just done what Josh Allen hasn't been able to do. And for that, and this is, of course, regardless of wins, like Jack asking the question, I'd still take Joe Burrow. I'd take him on my team. That's probably like the one quarterback. Josh Allen, there's just still some parts that I need to see more. Maybe if you swap Joe Burrow, or you put both, let's say you put Joe Burrow and Josh Allen on the Chiefs, see what they do. I think that's the only way you could ultimately tell, is if you put them in the same situation and see what they do, just because they currently are in two completely different situations.
What about you, Simone? Do you think that Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT still of the NFL, best quarterback in the league, taking out those wins, or is it another quarterback?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say that, of course, I hate Patrick Mahomes. But, like I think all of us do in the AFC West. We got hate for Patrick Mahomes because just like Tom Brady, he continues to win a lot, whether, it's referees or whatever it may be. But, I feel like taking away the wins is kind of like taking away what's the best part of Patrick Mahomes. And I hate to give him credit, though, but he definitely is, this generation's, I guess, quote unquote, GOAT. But I feel like what Jake was probably, or Jack, whatever, was trying to ask, I guess, is when you take away the wins, it's more of like what quarterback skill set, like, to their skill sets the best, right? And if you do take away the wins, yes, Patrick Mahomes is definitely one of the better quarterbacks. But if I'm looking at skill sets, I'm surprised nobody even brought up. But to me, I feel like Lamar Jackson's skill set as a quarterback, is bar none, one of the best, especially as a dual threat quarterback that can do it all. Of course, he hasn't won as much, but the Ravens are always right there in the hunt, doing great and whatnot. So if I had to pick a quarterback that I feel like just for their skill set alone, not just looking at the winning and all of that, it'd definitely be like Lamar Jackson. Like that's who I take on my team. Coaching, everything else on top of that, it just varies with the quarterback. But I feel like Patrick Mahomes outside of that, if you're stripping away the wins, like I said, Lamar Jackson.
Ooh.
Once it hits January, he can't throw, though.
That's the thing. We're not even talking about I'm just talking about
I'm just saying,
alone.
Once it hits January, his arm's gone. He just can't throw. So
Starts putting the ball on the ground too.
Listen, I rooted for all these guys. I rooted for all these guys every time they've gone up against the Chiefs, and they've screwed me and pissed me off some way. So that's why I can't put Lamar Jackson up there, because when they went up against the Chiefs, and he pissed me off because he just missing blows. I'm done with you, Lamar. I'm done with you.
Yeah, still got 2 MVPs though. Still got 2 MVPs though. That's the thing.
I guess
does still have 2 MVPs. That is true. But guys, we still have 3 more games to get into here from the
Okay, I guess it's just
want to let you guys know, apparently it kicked me out when we changed scenes here. I don't know what's going on today with StreamYard, but it's apparently not my friend today. But want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video over at RotoWire. Now, for those of you who don't know what RotoWire is, it is literally a cheat code for you to be able to win your fantasy games this year. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I have like 5 different fantasy leagues where I'm playing with friends, I'm playing with family, I got money on the line, and it is a must win for bragging rights and just for money at the end of the day. And I, for the first time ever, have full confidence that I am going to win my league because of RotoWire. If you guys have been looking for the perfect draft kit, you have now found it, okay? Their new draft assistant helps train you during live mock drafts. And right now with the link below, you guys can use code RTS for 15% off, a limited time discount that you guys are getting at the perfect time right before the start of the season when you are starting your leagues. The perfect thing about RotoWire too is that it's a plugin, right? So no matter what mock draft site you're using, whether it's ESPN, whether it's NFL's drafting source, you'll be able to use RotoWire as a plugin. And one of the coolest things too is that you literally guide it and you tell it what you want it to do. So in the early rounds, do you want to play it safe? Do you want it to be balanced, or do you want to aim for upside? And you do that for the early rounds, the middle rounds, and the late rounds. So for me personally, early rounds, I want to play it safe. I want to go with the guys early on that I think are just going to be my stars. Now, when it comes to the middle rounds, I want to aim for upside. And I also want to aim for upside when it comes to the late rounds too. Then what I'm going to do next here is, do I want it to be balanced? Do I want to stick to ADP? Do I want to go and get my specific guys? I'm going to go with balance for each of these. It's kind of that perfect mix between what I want, also what I believe RotoWire is going to be able to do for me as that perfect draft expert. The cool thing here is that you can factor in what matters most to you when you're drafting. So what matters most to you? Does a player's injury risk matter most to you? Does their age matter most to you? Does their performance from last year matter most to you? Me personally, when I'm drafting, consistency is always number one. And then last year's performance is also going to be there at top 3 for me. The other really cool thing about RotoWire is it is going to tell you throughout the entire draft process who is the best available, who are guys that they think won't be there by your next pick. It walks you through everything to make sure that you come out number one in your league. Again, guys, make sure to support the sponsors that support the channel. Go ahead, click the link below, get RotoWire with 15% off when you use code RTS. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's get back into this. James, I want to kick this one to you. Let me know everything that happened with the Chargers in their second preseason game.
Man, defense. It was fun to watch. And it's been that way for the last 2 preseason games. Yes, we are in week 2 for the Chargers because we had the Hall of Fame game. But man, against the Saints, and I kind of expected that a little bit because the Saints got a lot of things they're trying to figure out. And that what they're trying to figure out is their quarterback. Who is it going to be? Tyler Shuck? Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? Who is it going to be for that team? And we took advantage of that. So we ended up getting 3 turnovers in that game. One of those was a pick 6. 5 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss, 6 quarterback hits. In the last 2 weeks, yes, it's preseason, I get it, but it gets you excited a little bit to see that defense. We've had a total of 8 turnovers in 2 games with 7 sacks. I mean, this defense has been swarming, and these are with our backups. And why does that matter the most? Is because Harbaugh wants a physical team, right? He wants a team that everybody's engaged, top to bottom, all 53 plus practice squad, everybody's engaged. And everybody's bought in to this system and this identity. And that's called physical football. And that's a thing that the Chargers are bringing. And they're showing me that everybody's bought in. Big thing about it too, and some of the stars that came from this game, Caleb Murphy last 2 weeks has been a guy that's been on the team for a little while. He's been showing out the last 2 weeks, and specifically against the Saints, man, he has looked great. 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Why does that matter? Well, we got rid of Joey Bosa, right? And now we got Tuli Tuipulotu, we got Khalil Mack, Kyle Kennard's our 4th round pick, and then we also got Bud Dupree. Hypothetically, you think those are going to be the 1 through 4, but Kyle Kennard has been missing in action for the most part, and Caleb Murphy is really making a name for himself with this team. So we might have a hidden gem with Caleb Murphy being potentially a defensive end for this team, a guy that could get very involved with this blend of this defense. Now, one other star I'm just going to throw out there for this Saints game, Eric Rodgers. I mean, this guy is an undrafted free agent out of Rutgers. Guy came out of nowhere. Literally 2 picks. One was a pick 6, and it was one of the cleanest pick 6s you could ever see. 3 pass breakups. His PFF ranking was at 92.6 versus the run, 95.3 pass coverage grade also too. He did get injured, but he got a game ball out of his efforts and everything too. So great to see these undrafted free agents for the 2nd week in a row. Last week, it was Nico Reed with a phenomenal pick that almost was a pick 6 too. So you got to love seeing these cornerbacks, which are very, very much designed to go after the run and be very aggressive at the offensive line. the line of scrimmage. And they're doing that. And this is great to see what this defense is. Now, offensively, if I go back to the Saints game, Trey Lance and Taylor Heineke were our quarterbacks. Taylor Heineke basically started the game, had 3 drives. Didn't look pretty at all, but I will say first drive, there was a drop pass, or actually there's a pass breakup to Keandre Lambert-Smith, and then there was also a drop pass. That was a pretty nice ball to Tyler Conklin, too, that he ended up dropping. That would have changed kind of the momentum, the field, where basically everybody, where we are basically going to start the ball with, because the next 2 drives started on the 4-yard line for the Chargers and the 8-yard line for the Chargers. So their backs were against the wall at that point. But Trey Lance found a new gear with this team. 2nd week in a row, he's looked good. He actually took his kind of a matter in his own hands and used his legs to basically extend a drive, which was phenomenal to see, to eventually get a couple touchdowns on the offensive side. And our run game looks really good too. Raheem Sanders is another undrafted free agents guy. That's a big body guy, big physical guy that could fit extremely well for the Harbaugh mentality for this big physical run type game. And so what I'll say is this was a great game all around, but I do think that the Saints kind of are a little unprepared because they don't know what they're doing yet with the quarterback. Kellen Moore, rookie head coach, obviously just won as an offensive coordinator with the Eagles. And then Brandon Staley, we know that guy quite well as a defensive coordinator who was our head coach for a few years there. So all around, great game for the Chargers. Love to see it. Love to see it continue into the 3rd game for us against the Rams this week.
Now, James, we're hearing a lot of storylines about rookie wide receiver Trey Harris having issues catching the ball. Obviously, maybe a little bit of PTSD for Chargers fans based off of what's happened with Quentin Johnston. If you got 2 guys out there that are supposed to be these outside contested catch receivers and they have issues catching the ball, that's going to put this offense in a liability situation, especially Justin Herbert. Is there any worry from Chargers fans with those drops from Trey Harris?
Yeah, and I've been seeing a little bit of those articles floating around there too, and I don't know if it's that big of a concern at this point. I do think the big concern is that we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot from him in preseason so far. He has not really even caught a ball that I could even think of for the last 2 games. He's gotten some targets throughout the last games. I think there was also one catch, or there's one potential catch he could have had in the end zone that I think the defensive back kind of broke that one up too. So I don't really put too much concern with it. I do think the wide receiver group got a whole heck of a lot better with Keenan Allen added to this team. Really needed a vet to that group. So, and I think it's going to help everybody out. Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Ladd McConkey, and Quentin Johnston. I mean, that is 5 pretty solid wide receivers added to this team. So I'm not super concerned at all by Trey Harris, in my opinion.
Ryan, let's go down to you. Based off of everything that you saw and just now heard about the Chargers from their 2nd preseason game, what are your thoughts on them?
Solid defense, man. I was watching some of that game, and they got some good depth there with the defense. Obviously, you mentioned Eric Rodgers. So that's promising for you guys and a little scary for us because, I think, a lot. The Broncos defense was talked about a lot last year. I think the defense that went under the radar a little bit was the Chargers defense, and I think they're going to continue to improve on that. Obviously, they draft well. Harbaugh always drafts well. And then Trey Lance, always fun to watch him to try to continue to stay in the NFL, and I think Harbaugh's given him a good amount of confidence, which is what he needs. So, but obviously he'll be a backup for sure, but he'll have a pretty solid backup. So overall, Chargers, for considering what happened with you guys losing Slater, I think had a solid game and kept your spirits high,
What about you, Simone? What are your thoughts on the Chargers after preseason game number 2?
I guess almost the same as Ryan. Like I don't really like watching dive deep into everybody else because I only care about the Raiders. But one guy that definitely stand out, of course, is Trey Lance. That was actually one guy that I wanted the Raiders to bring in as a backup quarterback. But it's really good to see that he's getting a second chance with Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. And I mean, he's doing a great job. I mean, who knows if he takes over the starting role, right? But the Chargers right now, 2-0. It's good to see that they're winning games, because when the season comes around, I don't know if it's gonna be the same thing. But all jokes aside, though, I think overall, defensively, just like everybody else, I think the defense is going to be one of their main hauls going into the season for sure.
All right, Marcus, you wrap us up here on the Chargers game. What were your takeaways from them after their second preseason game?
Yeah, I'll echo what everyone else said. Defense. Caleb Murphy, that guy, I mean, I was reading about him as far as a guy who could be a rotational pass rusher for them. I read that Kyle Kennard hadn't been looking good during camp. So having that guy in there just kind of rotate with Khalil Mack, Bud Dupree, and all those guys. I mean, I think that's another solid guy in the rotation for you all. But I think the biggest things for the Chargers that happened off the preseason field was signing Keenan Allen, hoping, he still has some stuff in the tank. Hopefully he lost some weight. He got kind of a little thick there last year in Chicago. And then also, and also the Rashawn Slater story and what's going to happen with their left tackle spot. And Joe Alt, can he be that dude at the left tackle spot? So, I mean, got a lot of things going on in Los Angeles.
Certainly do. Now, before we get into the Broncos game, real quick, want to give a big shout out to Richie Fresh, who comes in with a $5 donation. You guys know that super chats go a long way at supporting the channel, all the hosts you see here, and of course, everybody at Roundtable Sports. When you guys do leave a super chat, they do, of course, get priority response. He says, breaking news, Broncos are going to win the division. Colby, did Darcy run away? No way we're going 0-5 against these boys in the playoffs again. Go Bills, baby. Broncos going to win the division. I don't know, Ryan. Do you think that's possible?
I think that anything's possible, especially where we're at now and how we've built. But I mean, it's going to come down to like the final last 2 or 3 weeks ultimately. And hopefully as well, but I think it'll be up in the air with the Chargers as well. Raiders, I think you guys are a few years out from doing that. You'll make some good progress this year. But listen,
we'll see this year.
Hey,
Super Bowl.
This is Sean's third year. And now people are starting to take us seriously. Pete Carroll, he's got to still rebuild a little bit. You got to make sure you have your QB and everything. We'll see how Geno Smith is. But I mean, at least you guys are starting to make the right decisions for the most part. We'll see how that turns out. But I think there's definitely a chance that we can, because especially with the Chiefs, when it comes down to those head-to-head matches, I mean, I don't know what you think, Marcus, but I think we play you guys pretty well each year for the most part in most recent years with Sean Payton, especially as well. I think for us, I'm actually more concerned about overcoming the Chargers, because I don't know what these Harbaugh brothers have against Sean Payton, but they have some formula that they just always beat him. I don't know why. I don't know why recently.
Well, in that last game the Chargers played against the Broncos, what was it, Sunday Night Football?
We were whooping that ass in the first half.
My gosh. Tale of 2 halves. I mean, it was something else. I mean, it is interesting, but just to chime in a little bit about that conversation about who's going to win this division. I mean, for the Chargers specifically, we start out with 3 division games for the season: Chiefs, Raiders, and then the Broncos at home. I mean, it gets to be a tough schedule for the Chargers. So if they have a shot at the division, they have to find a way to win those 3 games. And hey, this division got way better all around. And so the big thing is really to be able to beat this guy over here. Beat the Chiefs. That will change the whole entire idea for this entire division.
I think that's the only concern that we have is the Chiefs, right?
The Chiefs.
And I like going into the season as the underdog, of course, because we have to prove ourselves, but it's going to be fun, though. I really can't say anything right now because, it's just preseason, but I think we definitely go turn some heads this year, and then once the season starts to come, then it's going to be pretty cool. But as far as the Broncos, we'll see.
I just need the Raiders to, hand out some losses to the Chiefs and in the Chargers. Just some of those random wins that you guys get against random teams. I just throw some L's at them to help us out.
Almost did last year. What are your thoughts, Marcus? Do you think that the Broncos could win the division?
They could. Anything's possible. I mean, who would have thought the Chiefs would have won these 8, 9 consecutive years in the division? I mean,
come on,
it's getting kind of ridiculous.
It's only 9. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, I will say. I think the big takeaway was that comment came from a Bills fan. He doesn't want the Chiefs to make the playoffs because he knows how that's going to end for them. So, kind of sad.
I hear from Bills fans all the times, and they say that. They say, look, if it doesn't roll through the Chiefs, or going to the damn Super Bowl. It's like, well, yeah, but it goes to the damn Chiefs every single year. So that doesn't really matter. But Ryan, if you ask USA Today, they released their complete standings and record predictions for every team, and they actually had the Denver Broncos with the best record in the AFC West and winning the division. So, hey, you never know. You never know. But Ryan, let's go back to you. Break down everything that you saw from your Denver Broncos in their first preseason game.
Man, it was a little rocky in the beginning, kind of some mixed emotions. Starting offense didn't start off that hot. In defense, Mac Jones kind of ripped it down the field on us for some big gains, which wasn't nice to see for our starters. Offensively, but eventually the defense, they got their footing together, and Nick Bonito just started absolutely shredding them. I think he had like 2 or 3 sacks. He was just applying so much pressure. And of course, some of our guys on defense didn't play. Our starting linebackers, Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton, they didn't play. They could have, but they're dealing with some minor injuries earlier in the week, so better just to keep them on the bench. So there's obviously that. But offensively, listen, man, this goes back to like earlier in the season last year. I think this is my theory, but Robert Saleh hates Sean Payton because he was sending insane blitzes at him at our starting offense, which caused a pretty bad safety because it was just blitz after blitz after blitz on the starting offense. And Sean, he kept that starting offense out there for like 3 or 4 drives. But there were some bright spots with our wide receivers and our running backs. RJ Harvey ran very well. He only had, I think, like just under 40 yards, but he had some great runs bouncing it to the outside. There was probably one run where he probably shouldn't have bounced it to the outside. There was a wide open hole in the middle, but he's getting his footing. But he showed some great speed, some of that agility that we wanted. So he's probably going to be our starting running back. J.K. Dobbins, he'll be listed as a starter, but he's going to be more of that third down back. But RJ Harvey ran very well. We didn't see any Evan Ingram, which was kind of disappointing. I don't think he even suited up at all. But the one thing, and I mentioned this last week, is damn Cortland Sutton, bro. Stop pissing me off. We gave you money, and now you start dropping balls. Bo was 6 for 11. He would have been like 8 for 11 or 9 for 11 if this dude didn't drop the ball right there in his hands. One of the first passes, just right over his shoulder, drop, bobble, in the end zone, jump ball. The one thing you're supposed to do, drop. I just had to get that off my chest. Besides that, the rest of the receivers, they look great. Our second stringers, they looked very good. That's when we started to take over this game. And Jared Stidham looks solid, so he's a good backup. Pat Bryant, great hands. He was running great routes as well. Trent Sherfield, guy, I don't know if you guys know who he is. We picked him up in the offseason. He can ball, man. He had this great toe-tapping touchdown catch. I think I'd rather start him over Cortland Sutton, if I'm completely honest. But so we got great depth, and I think that's going to be the most important thing for this team. And what people are going to see is not our starters, but it's going to be the depth that allows our starters to continue to be fresh. We got a lot of depth on defense. In our offense, we finally got some good depth and some guys that can actually help out in the receiving game as well.
Get mad, Ryan, okay? Talk your shit. I feel like we heard last week you say these same things about Cortland Sutton. You were like, yeah.
I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to let you guys know so you know how often it happens, because people call me crazy on X.
That's what you were worried about. He was going to get the extension and the drops were going to happen. And in the first preseason game, that's exactly what happened, man. Ryan is telling the truth. He sees the future for the Denver Broncos. But Small Raider, let's go on over to you. Based off of what you saw from the Denver Broncos and everything that you just heard Ryan say, what are your takeaways from them?
Well, I guess first and foremost, man, I think Cortland Sutton's probably going to be my favorite player when we play the Broncos, just for the mere fact that we're going to need a lot of more of those drops when they play us. Outside of that, though,
it'll happen.
Yes,
Don't worry.
as long as he's out there, man, he gives us a chance, though. And I know that the first team offense didn't look too well, so that's, I guess, good signs for us as well as the offensive line. But I could kind of say the same thing with us when I get to talk about the Raiders. But overall, like I said, like they won the game. They blew out the Niners. Then again, it's preseason, so really can't take too much out of that. But I guess I'm rooting for Cortland Sutton to ball out for the Raiders next year or this year.
Cortland Sutton may be the best player on the Raiders.
Dude, he'll have good catches.
Like Jacoby Myers was for us, man.
Listen, Court is clutch. Court is clutch. I'll say that. But it's just, in the middle of a game, like in the middle of the second quarter or the first, like, just in the meat of the game, he'll just have like a drop, which could have given us a first down or given us better field position. It's just like these random drops that no one really sees because they're just like in the middle of these games. But when it comes to clutch moments, if it's like, if we need a touchdown, yeah, you're in trouble, buddy.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
But Ryan, wouldn't you prefer to have a guy who is consistent? So like you didn't have to worry about a game-winning touchdown, not needing that game-winning touchdown?
He's only consistent in the clutch, but like consistency throughout the game, it's like, and you've been around for that long, it's just annoying. Like when you see Bo make a perfect pass, and part of the thing that really annoyed me was that, the first drive was pretty rocky. So then, we're going on the second drive, give this offense some confidence, give Bo some confidence, start creating that connection, and then a drop, and then we have to punt. It's like you just completely kill the flow, and it's just messing up those vital reps that you want in the preseason. But ultimately, listen, it's the preseason. It's the time for these things to happen. That's why I'm not overreacting. Obviously, you'd want to see your team just go and just like your starters just go and shred the defense in preseason and score a touchdown right away. But listen, this is the moment that you need to work all the kinks out. So I'm not concerned. This is happening like week 6 and stuff, or even like week 3, and it's just everything's looking like clunky. Then that's when you actually get concerned. But I'm not worried about a thing in the preseason at all. I've seen many terrible teams over the years go undefeated in the preseason and then barely even win a game in the regular season. So it's a preseason, man.
Cortland Sutton, every opposing team's favorite weapon, man. That's what it sounded like here from Ryan. But Marcus, let's go up to you. What are your thoughts on these Denver Broncos after preseason week 1?
Again, like Ryan said, and like I was saying about the Chiefs, there's only so much you can see from week 1 of preseason. But I think the thing that stands out to me is Bo Nix. A kind of rough game, I would say. Looking at the stats, and I watched the game. Obviously, the safeties, the highlights everyone's showing. But when you look at a guy who's coming to his second year who flashed and looked awesome last year, you're looking for maybe signs of regression, sophomore slump. Where defensive coordinators can actually they have more film on you to kind of see what they can whip up against you. And of course, being in the division, you play 2 times a year, so we already have 2 games to kind of game plan for, and then also a whole season to look at. So that's kind of the one thing that kind of stood out to me. As far as from a fantasy perspective, RJ Harvey kind of dominating the totes. You didn't really see much from J.K. Dobbins last week. I don't think he even logged a carry in that game. So that's kind of interesting to see what happens with that running back situation. But overall, it's pretty much what I saw from Denver last week was maybe possible signs of a regression with Bo Nix and also the running back situation with RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins.
Can I just touch on something with that? I think the whole sophomore slump thing, I'm not saying it's like a myth or anything, but I think you also have to remember that it goes both ways. Coaches have more tape on the QB, but the QB now actually has more experience and more tape on the other teams and the other defenses. So Bo, he even said this last year, or he even said this recently, that last year he was more concerned about just memorizing the plays and getting them out. Now he actually knows all the plays that he needs to run, and now he can more just react to what's going on in the field and read the defense better. So I think it goes both ways ultimately. And there's a lot of other like dirty hands is what Sean likes to say when it comes to, how a quarterback plays, how was the offensive line? Like I said, we're getting the shit blitzed out of us. I don't know what was going on. I think it's because, right after that Jets game is when everything started to go downhill for Robert Saleh, and, he's back in San Francisco. So I think he just wanted to send Sean a little message there. But I'm not concerned about any sophomore slump whatsoever. All the talk throughout camp for Bo has been that he's been even sharper and faster processing, and he's been having a great camp so far. Some rocky days here and there, but that's what practice is for. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes has had like some rocky days here and there, throwing a pick here or there. Shoot, he's thrown multiple picks in games, and no one's concerned. They're still saying he's top quarterback in the league. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's week 1. You want these things to happen. I've been telling our Chief fans that when they want to get nuts about Kingsley Sumatia not looking good for 1 rep. It's like, It's week 1 of preseason. Relax. Let this stuff happen now, not later on. And I'm only bringing up the sophomore slump thing. We see everyone thought C.J. Stroud was the next Patrick Mahomes, and last year big time regression from his previous year. So that's why you see that kind of thing.
Until he went up against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Well, James, let's go on over to you and wrap us up for this Broncos preseason game. What were your thoughts?
I just wanted to see the defense be what we all think it is. And essentially the Broncos were that defense that we think they are. I mean, obviously they played extremely well. They had 4 turnovers, 3 sacks. I mean, they kept the Niners under 9 points. I mean, it is preseason, your second, third, and fourth stringers are out there and guys are trying to find a way to make this team. But I have a buddy I chat with all the time about the Broncos. And one thing that I always say is, man, who is that guy for your offense? I mean, I know you got Evan Ingram and I know you got Cortland Sutton, but where is that other guy that's that difference maker? And that's the one thing I have a concern about that team is who is going to be those playmakers when it matters most. And now it's once again, we're talking about Sutton basically making drops. And, at some point it's going to be a critical drop. And that's a really, really tough thing to swallow. So to me, you need to see a lot more out of that offense that could actually produce a whole heck of a lot. And Jarrett Stidham had a pretty dang good game, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's funny that there was an article that kind of came out from an ESPN writer talking about how, he's not very high on Bo Nix. And he's kind of even saying at a point that 2027 might be his last season as a Bronco, saying that, Sean Payton will get let go by that time. So I don't know. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, but I read an article about it. But we'll see what Bo Nix could be this year for year 2. Are they going to call him Bo Nix or they call him Boo Nix? Because they're going to boo him right out of the stadium. We'll see.
Yeah, I saw that article as well. And I'll answer your question about that playmaker. I'm predicting right now, Troy Franklin. I forgot to mention him. He looked very nice as well. Bo connected with him multiple times. He's starting to get some glue on those hands. Last year he had some bad drops, but he was snagging that ball. He looks really good. And he's been the talk of camp is how completely different he looks this year. They even say he just looks like a completely different person. Like he added on some nice lean muscle. He looks faster. He's running a better route tree. And he just knows the offense better. Whereas last year the game was a little bit too fast for him. So Troy Franklin is who I'm putting my money on this year. You still have to see it, obviously. It's not being talked about as much, but from what I've been hearing from camp, and actually what I even predicted before camp, is I'm putting my money on Troy Franklin, and then Pat Bryant. I think he'll ultimately succeed Cortland Sutton in the next few years whenever his contract's up, because he's going to be like 33, 34 around that time. So, but Troy Franklin right there.
Well, guys, let us know what you think about the Denver Broncos so far through preseason week 1 in the comment section below. But Samoan, let's go on over to you and wrap us up here with the final game of preseason week 1. What did you see from the Raiders other than, of course, Geno Smith's middle fingers to the damn sky, putting some damn respect on his name? And what a response by Pete Carroll, man. I mean, that is a head coach having his damn quarterbacks back. I mean, Samoan, who cares about what happened on the field? That energy had to give you some damn promise.
Oh, hell yeah. I feel like that's the type of energy that we have to go into every game all season long, especially to the rest of the AFC West when we play them. But, it was great to finally see the Raiders back in action. I can definitely say, just like any other Raider game, it was a roller coaster of a ride because the offense didn't start off well. Of course, our first team unit didn't really do much. And, of course, everybody's talking about Ashton Genty, which didn't look good as well. And I know watching the game, I was kind of frustrated with seeing that. But then, at the end of the day, he only had 3 carries for -1 yards. And, of course, we got a lot of things to clean up. That first half didn't really look too good. And even Pete Carroll talked about it. And it made a lot of sense when I guess he announced that, we were just using basic play calling the whole time in the first half. AOC, of course, is a quarterback that I've never really been high on. And it definitely showed in this game. But I do give credit to the Raiders to at least coming back in the second half and making the game a little bit more interesting. The offense looked better. And one guy that really stood out definitely was Cam Miller when he came in for just a couple of drives at the end of the game to help this team come back. And we could have won the game, but coming away with the tie, I think, is, I guess, the next best thing. We didn't win, we didn't lose. But, of course, there's a lot of things that we can clean up moving forward. I do feel comfortable in this team moving forward. And I feel like Pete Carroll just doesn't want to, reveal all his cards just yet. So outside of that, the defense, I think, was our run defense is probably the biggest question for us, because even when our first team unit was out there, it seemed like the Seattle Seahawks were just running all over us. Whatever they wanted to do, they were doing. Now, granted, in the second half, we did a better job, but I guess a lot of things were revealed in the first half, and it's just preseason. And if it continues to go, then that's where we have a problem. And I think just like everybody else, I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt and just go into the season with still hope in this team until something changes.
Now, Simone, real quick, were you a little disappointed? Because I've seen a lot of Raiders fans, in my opinion, overreact to the lack of production from Ashton Jeanty in this game. Obviously, only a few carries, but he goes for negative yards. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah. I guess my initial thoughts were definitely like, yo, bro, like, really? But I think all of us, including Raider fans, they just had high expectations from him to come out and just, break one off for a touchdown. And that's what you expect out of the top running back coming out of the draft, right? But he only had 3 carries, and the offensive line, like I said, didn't really help out in that first unit because he didn't really have anywhere to go. Granted, he only had like one positive run, which was like 4 yards, but then he had a couple of runs behind the line of scrimmage. So I'm not worried about it, because I know there are some players, some Raider fans that are taking it a little bit too much. But if this was week 1 and we're looking like that against the Patriots, and then even going into week 2, then we could start talking about it, because I've seen a lot of other running backs look good, and Trayvon Henderson looked good. That was my number 1 running back. But I'm still not. I'm not worried about Ashton Jeanty moving forward.
Well, hopefully you guys fix that for week 2 of the regular season. Certainly not week 1, but week 2, I really hope nothing but the best for you guys. But Marcus, let's go up to you. What are your thoughts on how the Raiders performed in week 1?
So my older brother's a big-time Raiders fan. So I was watching the game with him. It was the last Thursday night. Big thing that he was talking about was your center and right guard spot. Apparently, Jackson Powers Johnson, who dominated last year at center, he's been moved to right guard now, and the guy who's playing center has never played center before, Jordan Meredith. So there's kind of you saying that it's a big time clusterfuck there with that with those 2 positions there specifically, and then also too, your tackling was an issue in that game. You mentioned it, how you guys couldn't stop any of the Seattle Seahawks backs. But then you find out the next day that you guys hadn't tackled at all up until that was the first time you guys had tackled so far during training camp and preseason. So I thought that also made sense as to why it looked so bad. But I mean, the thing that kind of stuck out to me was your kind of offensive line play. So that's kind of where I was just looking at. So whatever you're going to do, their center and right guard spot. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've seen a lot of Raiders fans are kind of pissed off, and they say that JPJ should just play center, and I don't know why he's playing right guard.
Yeah, I guess it's hella questionable too, because he's been fluctuating back and forth, but up until recently, I guess Pete Carroll made the move to move him to right guard, which I think he could do a great job at. Of course, I don't know how well Jordan Meredith is going to look when game time comes, because we've been hearing nothing but great things in training camp, that he's been looking good, but it looks a little different when the game goes on. So I guess to that point, I don't really know until they actually go and play during the season. As far as the tackling issues, that was something I forgot to bring up. We had 13 missed tackles, and it's kind of crazy that they haven't done any tackling up until this point, and it definitely showed. And I can definitely say that that's something that the Raiders have struggled with, and we're definitely going to have to fix that when the season does come around.
Yeah, like I said, week 2, Samoan. Week 2, I really hope you guys fix that tackling issue there on defense. But James, let's call it over to you. What were your thoughts on the Raiders' first preseason game?
I mean, to what Samoan Raider said, as a Chargers fan, and the disdain for the Raiders, everybody was jumping on the Ashton Jeanty situation. 3 carries, -1 yards. So where we got our guy, Marion Hampton, that's looking pretty good in preseason thus far. So we're eating that up, just like every other fan base that disdains the Raiders. But, the big thing that I was just observing a lot was, the O-line. What's going on with that O-line? Ashton Jeanty needs an O-line to make that work. Geno Smith needs an O-line to make his job easier all around. Now, who's going to be really that guy for you guys as your number 1 receiver? Who's going to be that guy? Obviously, you got Brock Bowers, who's an absolute stud. But then you got Jack Besh, who's another guy that you guys ended up getting out of TCU. And I'm interested to see where he ends up going and seeing how he progresses as a team. Defensively, man, that makes me concerned when you got 13 missed tackles. And now, we all get it. It's preseason. It's a lot of guys that are second, third, and fourth stringer guys trying to make the team and everything. But having a new regime, Pete Carroll out there, it's a whole new system. I'm sure just a lot of people are just a little bit out of sorts at this point. So I think it's more or less just trying to figure out how to get this identity that Pete Carroll's trying to instill in these players and hopefully get to that point quicker for your team. Not so quick. We like to keep you guys at the bottom of the division. But yes, that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Can you get that identity that Pete Carroll wants to put in there? Is it a Legion of Boom or is it a Legion of You're Doomed at this point?
The Legion of You're Doomed. We're only going to have to wait and find out, but I like that. I like that. Ryan, let's go down to you. Wrap us up here. What were your thoughts?
Listen, I know it's only preseason and things can get fixed. But I still believe that the Raiders will always be true to who they are. I thought Pete Carroll might be that spark that changes the organization and having Tom Brady there. But I didn't even realize you guys missed that many tackles. So now it really has me questioning what the hell is Pete Carroll doing? That's the first time you guys are tackling. So that's very questionable and gives me a lot of hope for this season. And then Ashton Genty, I'm not like going to be one of those people that I'm like, oh my gosh, he didn't do anything. He's garbage. But here's what I will say. Going into the draft, I had and I still do have my concerns about Ashton Genty. Some of those, and listen, I wanted him to win the Heisman, but that game against Penn State, like what the hell happened? I think we all forget this dude may have a fumbling issue. He fumbled like 2 times in a row. And he's got some thick arms. You know who else had thick arms? Melvin Gordon, and he fumbled all the time. And you also know who has thick arms? Audric Estime, and he has a fumbling issue as well. So that's a real thing. That is a real thing.
Ramondre Stevenson's another. That's a great point.
That is a real thing.
That.
Hey, trust me, these thick arms are different though. So we'll be okay during the season.
They weren't different in that Penn State game. They weren't different in that Penn State game. And listen, maybe there is something to say that he was going up against only Mountain West teams, and when he finally went up against these good teams, like listen, I know he still statistically had a pretty good game, but listen, the eye test, we could all tell it was different. It was completely different.
Trust me, because I'm gonna be one. Like I'll support Genty because he's a Raider, of course. But I was on that same train as well. Those were the concerns I had going into the draft, which is one reason why I said earlier.
And I respect that.
There's a lot of other running backs.
You're actually real for having some like hesitations because not even just Raiders fans, but like many other people didn't. But go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. No, because I had other players on that I wanted to get at number 6 that I rather have. Not saying that Genty's bad. He could still do good in the NFL. Of course, now he's a Raider, so I'm going to be rooting for him. But of course, those concerns are there. It's just one game. I'm just going to see how it flows. I know you talked about Melvin Gordon, but he had some All-Pro seasons. Pro Bowl seasons. So I don't know what it entails, but I do feel like Ashton Genty's going to really do great for the Raiders this year, and that's just
the other pattern I noticed from this weekend is a lot of these rookie running backs just bouncing it outside. I think they kind of are very hesitant to hit the hole really hard. I think that's just a pattern I saw everywhere. So obviously I'm not concerned about that for a single one of them. They'll get coached up on all that stuff as long as they have the good coaching. And I don't know who's the running back coach over there in Las Vegas. Hopefully it's a good one. For you guys, hopefully it's a bad one for the rest of us. For our
That's
sake.
right.
We'll see, man. It's gonna be fun though, man.
Well, guys, before we wrap up today's episode, I do want to get a quick preview from each of you on your teams entering preseason week 2. Now, James, of course, for you, I'll be entering week 3. So in about a minute or two, give a preview on what you're expecting. Who are you expecting to see? What do you want to see different from game 1 to game 2? Marcus, let's start with you.
Yeah, so week 2, we will be heading to Seattle, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Friday night. So that means for my post-game stream, it's going to be a 1 o'clock start time on the East Coast. So pretty rough, but nonetheless, it's a nice little test run through for the primetime games later on in the season. But what I'm looking for is continuation. I want to see Josh Simmons continue to do what he did last week and probably get more reps this week. He only had 12 last week. So we're going to see a little bit more of that. Kingsley Sumatia clean up what he was failing on last week. And then Robert Tonyan, can he do it again? Can Tyquan Thornton continue to flash like he was flashing during week 1 of preseason. And also Jason Brownlee, receiver that we got from the Jets. He had the one catch that Mahomes threw last week, one pass Mahomes threw, got a touchdown, and a big body receiver. We don't usually utilize the big body guys, but he's been making great plays at camp. See if he can continue doing his thing. So those are pretty much the things I'm looking at. I want to see if Christian Fulton gets in and gets some game action this week. Just fresh off the PUP. I wonder if he'll play at all. But also just seeing some of the vets like Nick Bolton, Chris Jones. I want to see those guys, George Karlaftis. I want to see those guys just get some game action this week. So those are the kind of things I'm looking at for week 2 of preseason.
Absolutely love it. You Chiefs fans, let us know in the comment section below. What are you guys looking for in game 2? James, let's go over to you. You are watching your Chargers for their 3rd preseason game. Now, is this their final game or do they play another one?
We got 4 this
You
season.
got 4. Wow.
Yeah.
That is rough.
It's brutal.
Rough.
It is brutal.
That could have some implications, but what are you looking from your Chargers in game 3?
So big thing that I want to see from this game, we're playing against the Rams at SoFi. So it's not considered a home game, but it is playing in SoFi Stadium. So it's anyways, kind of a home game, kind of not a home game. But big thing I want to see is this defense to continue to keep building on this physicality. I want them to keep putting pressure out there, finding out who's going to be these defensive end number 4 for us, who's going to be these cornerbacks for us. Big thing I want to see is another hero that we undrafted free agent guy that just steps up out of nowhere. Nico Reed was for our week 1 was our hero. Week 2, we basically had Eric Rodgers show up real big. Week 3, who's going to be that guy? So I'm looking forward to seeing this defense build off of this momentum that they have, this physicality, this great ability to impose your will on the opponent. Now, with the offensive side of things, it's about who is going to be quarterback 2. You know, going into the season, Taylor Heineke was the guy. Trey Lance was just kind of the guy that, we'll see what happens. Only signed him to a $1.5 million contract, and he's actually been outplaying Taylor Heineke. So I don't know who's going to start this game, but Taylor Heineke needs to find a way to show that he deserves to be on this team. So I'd like to be able to see more growth from Trey Lance, see a little bit more from both of these quarterbacks. And I really want to see kind of some of the depth for our offensive line. And why I'm saying that, because Rashawn Slater is out for the season for the left tackle. And I want to see, Jamari Sawyer, seeing what he could potentially do, because he's now our swing tackle at this point. Seeing a little bit more out of Zion Johnson, who is pretty much slotted at the left guard for this team too. And Trey Pipkins being our right tackle too. Just need to see more out of those guys, because that is at this point guys that will be a part of the rotation for this O-line. So that's what I'm looking for this Rams game.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Chargers fans, let us know in the comment section below what you guys are looking for in this game. Ryan, let's go down to you. What are you looking for your Denver Broncos as they enter preseason week 2?
Yeah, so it's going to be a home game, another late game, 8:30 my time Central, so I think that's 7:30 p.m. Mountain time. Going up against the Cardinals, they're going to be coming to town. And ultimately, I'm really focused on the offense. I just want them to do complete 180 of what they did last week in terms of how they start. I want them to start out off quick. I want this O-line to hold up in the pass pretty well. I want Bo to make fast, quick decisions like he always typically does. Run game, I want to see RJ Harvey continue to improve, maybe not be bouncing it out all the time, hit that hole hard. Hopefully we can see Evan Ingram. I think Sean is just hiding him. I don't think he wants to reveal him to anyone yet, because obviously he's been a big talk and he's going to be a big contributor to this offense. No Cortland Sutton drops. I don't want a single drop. I don't want to have to be yelling here next weekend. I don't want to see a single one of them. And then I want to see Troy Franklin to continue to improve as well. Each week, he's been showing great signs, continuing to get better and better. And then, of course, just the rest of the depth everywhere else on defense, and also our young wide receivers on offense as well. So ultimately, just continue to get better in with the depth. And I also want to see Jahdae Barron improve a bit. He's been getting some passes let up on him, and obviously we took him with our 20th overall pick, even though I wanted either Hampton or Henderson, and Henderson looked great last week. So Harvey looked good, but Henderson looked great, and so that kind of made me a little bit jealous. But yeah, just overall, I'm really focused on the starters for this week. Just get their work in, improve, fix what you messed up last week, and get out healthy.
Love it. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, Broncos Nation. But let's go on over to you, Samoan. Wrap us up here for the day. What are you looking for from the Raiders in game 2?
I guess definitely the same energy that we had coming into the second half of last game. Like I said, we started slow. So seeing that same team that we finished off the game would be solid. And then seeing our starters go out there and at least have a solid drive. Definitely seeing the run blocking a little bit better, opening up some holes for Ashton Jency, because I know Pete Carroll said that we're going to still see our starters out there. So I just want to see them play a little bit better and just put a solid drive all together. And then, of course, AOC is going to be another guy, another headline guy that everybody's going to be talking about. See if he could bounce back. Now, he did do better last week in the second half, so I want to see if he can at least look just as good this week. Cam Miller, of course, is a quarterback that a lot of Raider fans are starting to get behind. So I want to see if he could keep that same energy going into this game and just helping this team get that win. The defense, of course, tackling's got to be better. It has to be better. And then the run defense. I know we're playing the San Francisco 49ers over here in Vegas, the only home game that we have here. So even though it's just preseason, definitely coming away with the win just for bragging rights, because it's the only time we get to play them every single season until we play them during the regular season. So overall, I think just a more competitive game.
Well, guys, that is going to wrap us up here today for the AFC West Roundtable. Broke down everything that happened in preseason week 1. We will be back next week, same time, same place, to break down everything that happened in week 2 of the preseason. On your way out, make sure you guys leave a big like on the video. Help support us tremendously. If you guys want to call into this show or any other show in Roundtable Sports, make sure you become a patron. Remember, linked, pinned in the chat, also in the description box below. Make sure you guys go check out RotoWire if you want to dominate your fantasy league using code RTS for 15% off right now, man. No better time to dominate your fantasy league this year. But as always, my name is Colby Cochran, host here of the AFC West Roundtable. We appreciate you for watching, and we'll see you next week.